In Football Manager 2023, you're going to concede a lot of goals from through balls over the top. I've been a victim of through balls myself, so I did a bit of research on football tactics and how you can set up your team, and also a bit of experimenting on Football Manager as to how you can combat conceding through balls over the top or even through balls along the floor. So in this video, I'm going to share with you some of the lessons that I learned on how you can defend through balls on Football Manager like a pro. Now, the first thing you want to do is to consider your goalkeeper, who is the guy that is standing in between the sticks for you. Look at your goalkeeper's attributes and see if he has that eccentricity attribute up to the max. If his eccentricity is between 10 and 11 or 12, 13, that's quite good. You can ask it to play as a super keeper on support duty or even on attack. But if your goalkeeper has low eccentricity up to the point of maybe 9, 8, 7, 6 going down to 5, don't even bother playing him as a super keeper. You have to find a different way to defend through balls from deep. Now, having a goalkeeper with good eccentricity ensures that even though you play him as a super keeper on support duty or defend or attack, he's going to somehow stop those through balls coming in from deeper areas. The goalkeeper, due to high eccentricity, will make moves to try and close down that through ball as often as possible. Now, in case you don't have a goalkeeper that has high eccentricity like Edison at Manchester City or Alisson Becker, I know a lot of goalkeepers on Football Manager, although they are designed to be super keepers on defense, they don't have that high eccentricity. So the next thing you want to do is take a look at your back four. The back four is integral to defending through balls on Football Manager, but a lot of people don't know this. So what I noticed that what I've been doing by myself most of the time is actually select two centre backs and then ask them to play both on defend duty. You can have a ball playing defender and the central defender and then ask them both to play on defend. If you're trying to defend through balls, this might not work out very effectively for you. So you need to have one of your centre backs to play on the cover duty. And the reason why you have a cover defender there is to actually track those through balls and try to read them and intercept those through balls as quickly as possible. On defend duty, the central defender would automatically try to cover up through balls and also step ahead and try to stop attackers. But generally, he is defending, so he's going to balance between both. But if you ask him to play on cover duty, he's primarily going to be looking out for those through balls and try to stop them when they get into the box. I had better results defending against through balls when I had one of my central defenders play on cover duty than I had my traditional ball playing central defender beside him playing on the standard defend duty. Now, just like the goalkeeper, you would want to have a central defender that has good ability to cover. So players that have good defensive positioning and can also read the game well, have good composure, have also good work rate, are well equipped to play in the cover role and try to detect those through balls and get into those areas. Ideally, you want intelligent defenders to play in this role. In a situation where you can't read as much as if your defender has the ability to play on cover duty, you can also try playing with two central defenders on defense, but in this case, you're going to try to stop those through balls playing with a central defensive midfielder. In Football Manager 2023, the DM position has gained a lot of popularity this year. Either you're playing with one DM or you're playing with two sitters in the defensive midfield, it helps you try and stop those through balls. And then I noticed that when I played with the 4-2-3-1 system with two defensive midfielders, it was very difficult for the AI to actually play through balls past us because we had two defensive midfielders holding that position and trying to close that space and stop those through balls from getting through into the box. Now, we're still going up the ladder from goalkeeper to defense to defensive midfielder, and when you get into the central midfield position, this is another integral part of how you can stop those through balls from getting into the box. What you want to do is to ask one of your central midfielders using the opposition instructions. You can ask one of your central midfielders to actually stop the guy that is creating those passes. If you check your opposition that you're playing against, you're going to find out that there's one creative player in the team in central midfield. It could be the attacking midfielder in the number 10 role, or it could be a central midfielder, and often if you're not careful, you might notice that this guy that is playing those two passes is a player in the wide area that's either a wing back in case the team is playing with a 3-5-2 formation. So you need to look at the scout report of your opposition and try to figure out who this player is, put this player on tight marking, or just ask somebody to press them as hard as possible and try to win the ball back before they find a way to play that killer ball. I'm going to attach a link in the description so you can get another video as to using opposition instruction. There's a cheat sheet that I've been working with for quite a long time now. I did release a video on that a while ago, so you can find that video here and then just watch it and then get additional info of how to identify the creative players in the opposition team and how you can mark them out of the game. Now, if all else fails, you're going to want to try this. I did write it out on a piece of paper to try and clarify my thoughts. I'm going to read it out to you right now. So the last information you need to figure out is your pressing triggers. Now, this part is optional because the other fixes could work regardless of what you're doing with your pressing triggers, But I noticed that when I was playing Football Manager, my defensive line of engagement was actually important in stopping the opposition from actually playing those through balls over the top. But what I noticed significantly reduced the goals I conceded was through ball was playing with a high press and a high line of engagement. I know it sounds counterproductive, but trust me, when I had a lower line of engagement and I had a low block kind of and trying to defend in my own box and try to stop those through balls from coming in, I noticed that the attacker or the creative player kept on playing those through balls anyway. So it would just go into my box like straight, so there's no gap stopping the ball from actually getting into my box. And with a mid-block system, what happened was that there's going to be this slight space between the attacker and the goal, so he had just like a breath to actually prepare himself and actually take a shot at goal. So what I noticed that when I play with the high defensive line, that gap between the striker and my goalkeeper was a lot higher, so he had a lot of work to do to actually run all the way to my own goal. And in that time, my defenders could actually cover that space and actually get the ball from him, or my goalkeeper is going to be better prepared to actually deal with the cross or deal with the shot that is taken at goal. So what I noticed did help me was to actually play with the high defensive line and use a very high press to try and stop that creative player from playing those through balls over the top and into my oppositions or into my defensive penalty area, something like that. So what I did was to actually tight mark these players and put an intense press on them to try and force my players into winning the possession high up the pitch. What you want to do in this case is that you don't want to have very limited amount of players in high areas to try and force the press. So if you're using a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3 DMY kind of system, playing with the high press might help if you do have the players that can actually press those players. But what you need to do is to have high numbers up front. I noticed that with the 4-2-3-1, having the number 10 and then the two wide players and then the striker as well could actually help you force a press because you have numerical superiority in that case with their 4 defenders to deal with. But if you have limited players, like you're playing with a 4-4-2 flat, a 4-4-1-1 system, it might be difficult to actually go and force a press from up front. So you need to actually have the right formation for you to actually force the trigger press up front. So go ahead and try these tips and see if you can actually reduce the number of goals you concede from through balls over the top. And if you have additional ways you're actually dealing with through balls, you can let me know in the comment section as well. And if there are any other problems you're having on Football Manager, you can let me know in the comment too, so you can see if I have the similar problem or if I've solved those problems before. I can share with you how I'm going about doing them, and if I haven't, we'll probably just have a drink about it, or laugh about it, or complain to Sports Interactive that the game is probably broken. So I'll see you in the next video.